Thank you. That's really interesting. I had no idea. I always learned one very, very fun fact on every webinar, and I think that was it. This is the last question we have, so everyone please send some questions in now. This one comes from Sue. Do you think there will be policy change due to this crisis, which potentially is bigger than just Flint? If so, what do you expect them to change to keep citizens safe?
Oh, great question, Sue. Do I think policy will change? Well, I think a lot of people would say they hope so. Some of the policy challenges here was that the state is in charge of controlling water quality, that is the public water supply. And back last summer, the EPA was aware, and the EPA was trying to get the state to stop using Flint water, and the EPA was unsuccessful. And, when I read that, I remember being surprised, saying, how does the EPA at the federal level not have the ability to require the state to do this? And apparently they either don't, or it was unclear that they did, and the state stonewalled for a while. So I think a lot of people are now looking at this saying this isn't really the way the policy ought to be in terms of if there's a crisis, and the state of Michigan apparently kept saying, we'll just want to wait 6 more months for more data to come in, and others were saying, we have the data. We have lead in the water. We have lead in the bloodstream of children. We have enough data to tell you to stop doing what you're doing. So it was known for quite some time, probably at least 4 or 5 months before they switched the water back. But it seemed like there was an unclear path for who's in charge, whether it was the state or the federal government. So it might be perhaps that something good comes out of that will help lots of people, because I don't think anyone wants to see something like this. And I say that having just heard last week that in our backyard, that is within tens of miles of us, there is a manufacturing plant that has been putting stuff in the water, and people have, the officials have known for about a year before telling the public. So Flint is probably not an isolated incident. We appreciate people want to be careful and get the facts, but we also don't appreciate when they stonewall on any decision or informing the public so we can just get bottled water until the crisis is solved. So I think some of that will likely be improved. I certainly hope so.
Thank you. My next question is from Irma. Is there a long-term study being planned to monitor the impact on children living in Flint?
Yeah, I haven't heard of one. They're talking about right now raising money to deal with the expected long-term impact. So I would be shocked if people also, the medical folks in that area who started the study, I'd be shocked if they weren't looking at long-term study. But I was just reading that United Way has a campaign now, United Way in the Flint area, trying to raise $100 million over the next 10 or 15 years with the expectation of there are going to be lots of problems that these kids will have, behavioral problems in school, increased amount of crime, et cetera, to try to help those kids not fall into that path because of the initial lead poisoning. So, all of this is sad, given that all of it was done to save $5 million, and it's going to cost hundreds of millions of dollars, and you can't fix it. I mean, you can fix the water. You can't fix what probably has happened to the children. So it was really a short-term gain and a long-term huge expense in lives and in money.
Thank you very much. Does anyone have any other questions? If so, you can send them to me now in the chat. I have another question from Tom. Can you suggest a compound and target that it affects that we can easily and safely use with our students to study toxics and calculate an LG50?
Oh, so can I offer contaminants that would give you an easy way to calculate LC50? Yeah, we can stay away from all the nasty things, all the pesticides, et cetera, and something really relevant, Tom, that our research lab is doing right now, and that's testing the impact of road salt on aquatic organisms, and that is, it's literally table salt. So it poses no risk to your students, but it is a really huge issue that scientists are now starting to talk about. The public probably in a few years when more science comes out. There's a huge issue over the last 30 years. It's one of the reasons we're studying Lake George, in fact, is the amount of road salt coming into streams, rivers, wetlands, and lakes has dramatically increased. Now, it doesn't even mean the number of roads have increased, but the amount of salt people apply, that is towns and highway departments, et cetera, the amount of salt they apply per mile has roughly doubled. In Lake George, where we work, the amount of salt in the water, that is, we measure chloride ions, that has tripled in 30 years. And streams are really high in salt. They can be, especially when the snow melts and carries the salt with it. So that's a really great way to demonstrate LC50s as something that's totally not harmful to you, but can actually kill aquatic organisms. And it starts killing aquatic organisms, and this is just for reference, at about 200 milligrams per liter. We can see streams go easily 5 or 10 times that high. So that's a real current concern that's not really in the public consciousness now, but really the scientists have just started in the last couple of years to start talking about that and start working on that. But it'd be a great way to do an LC50 because it's relevant, it's safe, and you get great results out of it because we're doing it right here. Feel free to contact me if you have any questions about that. I'd be real happy to assist you and give you some advice on for example, organisms you could use easily, et cetera.
Thank you, and please feel free to contact me as well. Both of our email addresses are up on the screen, so if you have any additional questions, like I said, our email addresses are right there. Please note them down. We did get a follow-up question to the one we just answered. This is from Brenda, and she says, so if we wanted to do a complex chemistry lab on water quality and Flint water, what other things would you suggest as substitutions besides salt? Are there any gases that we could use?
Are there any what?
Are there any gases?
Oh, gases?
Yeah.
Nothing handy comes to mind. The folks that I know have used this kind of stuff, people have used, just for demonstration purposes, they've used dish soap, they've used lots of things like that that are harmful when mixed in the water for aquatic organisms. Generally, try to stay with real safe stuff. I don't know of anyone who's used gases, and I'm not sure what gases, in terms of an environmental issue, what gases would be particularly relevant or important that you could kind of sell the students on. This is why we're doing it. I always like to have something sort of relevant to an environmental issue, which is why I thought, salt makes a good example because, you can go online and find examples of people concerned about salt, the increase of saltiness of fresh water, those kind of things. But I just don't know of experiments using gases.
All right, and Brenda just wrote that her chemistry teacher wants to add a lab that goes with this topic, which is why we were asking about gases. So.
Okay, fair enough.
If you guys have any more questions, you can send them my way through the chat.